Welcome to our final virtual user group of 2024. We made it through another year. So happy that you guys have been on this journey with us, and we're so thankful for you as our customers. And so we're looking forward to the future of IBI and what's in store for us for 2025. So today, as to wrap up 2024, we're going to give you the IBI Best of 2024. So on the line with us today, we have Dan Ortolani, our General Manager of the IBI Business Unit, and Angie Hildak, our Senior Manager with our Product Management team. And then for those of you guys who don't know me, I'm Shay Bagwell, your Customer Marketing Manager. So we've got a lot of cool things to talk to you about today. Again, kind of the highlights and recaps of some of the big announcements that we had in 2024. And before we get started, just some housekeeping. As a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, so you will receive a copy of the recording probably by tomorrow. I will send that in a follow-up email along with any presentations and anything that we covered today. So you'll have that in your inbox. If you have any questions for Dan or Angie throughout the webinar, please engage with us. You can either submit them through the Q&A, or if you would like to raise your hand, we can unmute you if you'd like to ask your question aloud for the group to hear as well. We welcome that. So don't be shy, ask your questions. That's what we are here for. All right, I think that's it with the housekeeping. So real quick, just as usual, I'm going to just discuss a quick few resources for you guys, just to remind you what's available. Again, one of the big announcements we did this year was the release of 9.3. So if you guys have not had a chance to get out there and check out any of the demos, see what 9.3 is all about, they are available for you guys. We have that playlist out there. Angie's actually going to touch on some of the bigger highlights of 9.3 today, but this is available out on our YouTube channel for you guys to check out as well. Education. I know we've been talking about education the last couple of months with you guys. We are this close to being able to launch it. We'll probably be seeing that rollout starting in January when we come back after the new year. So super excited to finally be able to give you guys the education that you have been requesting around our platform. So education in the mainframe, analytics, and the data intelligence area, everything from your fundamental getting started 101 type courses to your more advanced courses. So we'll have something, a little bit of something for everybody. So we're super excited to be able to roll this out, and I promise you it is just around the corner. If you haven't had a chance to check out the new IBI.com, feel free to head out to the website, see what's going on out there. This is another great resource, another one-stop shop for you guys to check out any of the resources that you're looking for, information on the products, the platform. You're able to submit your support tickets out here. There will also be a link that will take you to the education platform once that is launched. You can also find all the new and upcoming events that we will have for 2025, including the virtual user groups, Focus Fridays, our summit plan. So all of that information will be out on IBI.com, as well as we will also send it to you via invites in the newsletter and community. So there'll be lots of ways you guys will know, but be sure to check out IBI.com if you haven't. To finish up this month, today the virtual user group we have, and then Walter and Greg will be hosting the December Focus Friday next week. And then that will kind of wrap us up for the year. And then we will be back in January with an all-new lineup of new virtual user groups, Focus Fridays, and a whole plethora of events planned for you guys. So we're excited to bring that to you for 2025. And then also the community. Again, guys, if you're not a part of the IBI community, I highly, highly encourage you guys to join. Again, this is a great resource for you guys. We have the forums out there. It's very user-friendly. You're able to search by your IBI product and find the answers that you're looking for. Engage with your peers, ask the questions, and learn from your peers. You'd be surprised with how many conversations and questions are being answered out there. So if there's something that you're stuck on, head out to communities, see if your peers know it. We also have our experts in the community, our product subject matter experts, our product managers are out there answering questions and working things out with you guys too. So be sure to take advantage of this resource. It's completely complimentary to join. So just join the IBI community. Stay connected with us. If you are not receiving our monthly newsletter, please let me know. Shoot me a note in the chat or the Q&A so I can make sure to check if you are on our mailing list. Again, this is another resource that is, again, monthly. Keep you up to date with what's going on with IBI. So you want to make sure you're receiving that. And then if you are on social media, we'd love to have you give us a follow. We are on LinkedIn, X, and our YouTube channel. So if you're out there, feel free to give us a quick follow. And again, stay in the know with everything IBI. So that is all I have. I'm going to turn it over to Dan. Concluding this meeting, you will receive a link for the evaluation form. Again, your feedback is greatly appreciated. This is what helps us plan these. So feel free to please take a few moments of your time and fill that out for us. So on that note, Dan, I will stop sharing and turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Shay, and good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining today. We apologize if that holiday music was a little bit too much in the morning here. Some of you had voted for "All I Want for Christmas" by Mariah Carey. That would have been truly overwhelming with that wall of sound, but hopefully that puts you in the IBI holiday spirit. So like Shay said, we wanted to cover a few topics, kind of a annual review, if you will, of some of the key areas that we've been covering throughout the year in both the virtual user group meetings as well as our on-site summit sessions. And we wanted to highlight the platform offerings. I know that, many of you have had questions about this. When we launched the platform offerings earlier this year, there was some concern about various product retirements and what does it really mean to you and the renewal process. And so we'll review this area and talk a little bit about those topics and obviously open it up for QA. We want to make sure that everyone's really clear on these offerings. And then we'll turn it over to Angie to review the key product highlights from FY 2024. And then we'll end with our new upgrade program for WebFOCUS 9.3. Hannah Knox is heading that program, and we wanted to launch it here today and offer that program to you as you look to next year and consider upgrading your current WebFOCUS environment. We really want to help you get there. Okay, so the platforms, the IBI platform SKUs, the packages. So first, a little note I want to just provide some historical perspective regarding the evolution of how we've packaged the IBI products. In 2020, and I would say prior to that, when IBI was a privately held standalone company, our licensing model was, I would say, varied. We had over 1,000 SKUs. WebFOCUS was licensed, generally speaking, through a core-based perpetual model, although we did have certain features like Info Assist that were user-based. Our mainframe products were MSU and MIPS-based, and we literally had hundreds of potential add-ons, including adapters, tools for business users, as I mentioned, Info Assist, Report Assist, other products, and iWay Service Manager, Data Migrator were typically licensed based on cores or processors. So what was a challenge for our customers with this model is, it was very hard to plan your usage for WebFOCUS. So if you started out in your contract with 100 users and you're expanding, then you had to go back and renegotiate the contract. You needed more cores, you needed more adapters. Each one of these interactions was a license event. And so when we came together with TIBCO, we decided to do some consolidation of our SKUs and our packaging and provide more value to customers across WebFOCUS, iWay, and our DQ offerings. And so we moved to a subscription model and created these editions. WebFocus edition, we had our basic, our standard, and enterprise edition, 100% user-based, and really not only user-based, but we included many features and many capabilities that previously had been billable. So for example, we included automatically you got like 100 adapters, for example. You automatically had access to Designer and or Info Assist for that number of users that you're licensing. And so we really tried to simplify this. And then for iWay, again, making it easier for customers to license the product for iWay Service Manager, including all of our adapters for iWay. And then for DQ and our MDM editions, you're moving to more of a record-based model to allow customers to license the product that way. But in any case, we provided even more value than we had in the previous packages and really simplified the process. If you needed a new adapter, you didn't have to go back and license that. It was already included, for example. But there were certain capabilities that did require add-on. Cloud rights is one. Certain application adapters, like for Salesforce or SAP, for example, specialized features like infographics and other features remained as separate options. And of course, your capacity was limited based on the number of users in the case of WebFocus, or based on the number of processors in the case of iWay, or in the case of DQ and MDM, based on the number of records, as I said. So our next stage in the evolution is the IBI platform offerings. And so earlier this year, what we decided was to further consolidate capabilities across all of these product areas: IBI WebFocus, data intelligence, and of course our mainframe products, and really lift all the limits in terms of usage and capacity, lift the limits in terms of features and capabilities, and provide even more value to our customers as you renew your licensing. So what's included? Unlimited usage, right, for WebFocus, IBI Data Intelligence, or Mainframe. These are three separate platform offerings. So this is huge. If you're going to expand, again, it's one licensing event when you renew, and that's it. You don't have to come back to us if you want to add another 1,000 users or 5,000 users or 10,000 users. If you want to add multiple test environments, disaster recovery environments, unlimited users, all included in these platform offerings. Cloud rights is huge as well. Many of our customers, like I'm sure many of you are considering this, your move to the cloud may occur next year or the year after. You may have a hybrid approach where you want WebFocus or our iWay capabilities to live inside the cloud, but the data may remain on premise. We have all those flexible configuration options, those hybrid options, and everything is included now in the platform offering. So if you want to move WebFocus to AWS, to GCP, and you want to do that in a way where you either take your existing environment and just lift and shift it, or you may want to incorporate some optimizations with our WebFocus Container Edition, or install our DQ Container Edition that takes advantage of auto scaling and other cloud native features. You can do that all within the context of the platform offering. And you can take advantage of these offerings upon your renewal. So for many of you, when your contract expires and it's time to discuss your renewal with IBI, our next step will be likely to say, hey, the platform offering is there for you, and you can just, upon your renewal, we include that one SKU and it has all these capabilities. And what I want to stress here, because some of you had some concerns about the announcement of the platform and so and the what we positioned as the retirement of certain WebFocus SKUs. I just want to be super clear that product development, innovation, new versions, right, will continue going forward with WebFocus, DQ, iWay, Data Migrator, and WebFocus. Omni is the only product we've announced as end of life. All these other products, and we can support Omni really for the next couple of years. All these other products are going to continue with the innovation. We're investing very heavily in engineering, in product management for all of these products, and we have a great future to come. And Angie will talk about some of the innovations that we've done this year, and we have a full slate of versions and innovations coming up for next year. Let me move on to reinforce with you the contents of each of these three platform offerings. For the IBI Analytics, it's really WebFocus. This you get the full WebFocus product, unlimited usage, as I said, Designer, Hub, Reportcaster, the real workhorse of the WebFocus environment, the reporting server, our DSML capabilities, which are growing with each release. The container edition I mentioned. We also include Data Migrator, which is our ETL offering. It's automatically included in the platform. And why is this important? You know, some of you may have organizations that are spending serious investments in third-party ETL tools, whether that's in Informatica, for example, or other products. They can get very expensive and lock you into a proprietary data structure for years to come. Data Migrator comes at no extra charge with the platform, as I said, and can be a candidate to replace both the functionality and you can save on the cost of your existing ETL environment, something to really look at. As I mentioned, unlimited usage, all add-ons, all adapters included, cloud rights, everything. And this again is triggered by your renewal. And mainframe, we have still a very significant number of customers out there globally who are using Focus or WebFocus in the mainframe environment. What we include with our mainframe SKU here, full WebFocus, full focus capabilities, Data Migrator, as I mentioned, Open Data Hub, which we launched earlier this year. Some of you may ought to be familiar with this. You know, we often see that WebFocus is living, you know, in your company sort of side by side with other BI tools like a Power BI or a Tableau. And then having to prep that data for those tools can be an expensive endeavor and ongoing with ongoing processes that need to be implemented. You can choose instead to keep that data on the mainframe. You already have it described with the WebFocus metadata or the Focus metadata. And the Open Data Hub provides that bridge to these other third-party tools to allow them to access that data directly on the mainframe. Again, big cost savings and allows those users who choose to, choose to using a different BI tool in addition to WebFocus, we can open up that access to them. You know, kind of what we see, especially with our federal government customers, our financial services customers, the mainframe is not going away. It's there. It's housing all the transactional data that's the lifeblood of the company. And to have to move that data around, very expensive, as I said. So we provide that Open Data Hub for you, for both WebFocus and for other tools. And again, we're not limiting MSUs, we're not limiting LPARs, we're not limiting MIPS. It's unlimited, and you can move forward that way. We also added Focus Studio, which I think Angie's going to talk a little bit about later, to allow customers to easily onboard new users of Focus. We realize that Focus admin, Focus, the use of the product, maybe the knowledge may be limited to a small number of people in your organization. This is our effort to kind of expand the pool of team members who can use the product. And then finally, our IBI data intelligence offering, which includes data quality, our iWay Service Manager for integration and messaging, and Data Migrator, as I mentioned, is also included in this package. We don't have any limits on the usage, number of processors. We do have just one add-on because it's a royalty-bearing product for address services, which you may or may not need. I think that's kind of a specialized need that we see with customers typically who are doing MDM type functions. Okay, so I'd like to, before we move on to Angie and the product highlights, and I'll stop sharing now to give it to Angie. I'd like to open it up, Shay, to any questions that people may have, whether that's live, raise your hand, or through the Q&A chat.
Awesome. So guys, if you have any questions for Dan regarding the platform, again, if you'd like to ask those out loud, please raise your hand. I can unmute you. The Q&A feature is open. Jean did ask Dan for IBI Analytics. You said unlimited usage. Did I hear that correctly? That means number of users and number of servers installed.
Yeah. Hey, Jean. Yes, absolutely. It's unlimited cores, so to speak, unlimited servers, unlimited users. Yep.
Will the analytic platform have Info Assist and App Studio?
Yes, it will. App Studio continues to live on. And even though I did promote a session called Breaking Up with App Studio, because we definitely want customers to move to the new designer tool. I think, so App Studio will be included, no problem. However, it's interesting, the feedback that we've been getting from, for example, our customer advisory board and other customers is they really want us to ultimately retire App Studio and focus on the new products, really invest our development dollars and our QA and support to the new products. But we really won't be able to do that until we 100% close that feature gap. And then if we do decide to retire App Studio at some point in the future, of course, we would provide minimally a year's notice, if not more. And we would continue to support apps that have been built with App Studio as well. But yes, today, definitely part of the platform. I know we can always count on at least one App Studio question in all of our virtual user groups. Anything else? Any other? Oh, we have another question here. Let's see. Oh, Donna just says thank you. Okay, good. One thing which I'm surprised nobody's asked, but I'll just put it out there because I know some of you are thinking about it. Dan, this is amazing. I get all unlimited usage, unlimited users, all these features, cloud rights. What's this really going to cost me, come time for renewal? So I would say this. As you know from our previous virtual user groups, and if some of you attended the summit meetings on site that we had in North America, IBI has been separated as its own business unit this year. And so what that means is all the not just like product development, product management, support, all those functions, product marketing, Shay's team also comes over, but also the sales team comes over as well. So that means that as a business unit, we have more direct involvement in working with customers on renewals and working with you on that. And so that's a very different model than we had when we were sort of combined with TIBCO, where you had many of you had potentially like multiple AE account execs, people that you had to work with. And I know that was a source of frustration and delay for many of you. All that's done, it's in the past. And so this year, as we move forward, um, we'll be working with you directly from the IBI business unit on your renewals. At a high level, our philosophy on providing this platform is to really look at, kind of the last price that you paid for your subscription and, with some added like modest uplift. And I stress the word modest. So I think everyone would probably expect, all software companies are doing this. Upon renewal, there's usually some uplift involved. But it won't be on the scale that you have experienced in the past. It will likely not be what you've experienced in the past with some of your other renewals.
Dan,
Okay.
there might be a couple of new folks on the line who haven't been as familiar with some of the terms that we use at IBI. Your presentation showed some acronyms. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on what some of those meant?
Okay. Was there anything
The
specific or?
MIPS was one of them.
Oh,
Is that
MIPS. Yeah.
a-
So I apologize. I'm showing my mainframe legacy. So MIPS was a unit of measure that was that IBM used, for it speaks to the processing power of the machine, the mainframe machine, and MSUs as well. Okay, these are units of measure for mainframe processing. So if you don't have a mainframe out there, just ignore it. Um, were there any other examples of anything I might need to
They had
clarify
just
there?
they had just put that one, but the person who asked that question, if there were some other acronyms, if you wouldn't mind throwing those in there, we can answer those for you as well.
Okay, let's see.
In the meantime, there was a comment in the chat. The hub has a ways to go before I'll be thrilled with App Studio to sunset. So, Alice, I think I would love to hear what those things are. Especially, we have done a lot of improvements on the hub in the 9X series, like search was added. We added some updates to recents and favorites and some other things. So I would love to hear what else you feel is missing and see if we can get those things added in.
Yeah, maybe some of the other acronyms like DQ is data quality for our data quality offerings, MDM, master data management, as well. Just kind of looking at some of the other acronyms I may have carelessly thrown around. But I think those are pretty much the main ones.
All right, I'm going to get my sharing up at least. I think as more questions
Okay.
come in, we
Wait,
can
sorry,
keep
there's
you.
one more guys in the Q&A. Can we expect that Midas Group will not be as intermediator for the European customers?
That's a great question. So I think, we're evaluating that now. I think if I look at the volume of the number of customers that Metis is working with, it's really pretty small. And I think that we'd like to get closer to those customers in the coming years. So stay tuned on that. I would like to specifically understand, maybe outside of this venue, you can contact me directly to provide any feedback you might have on the experience there. Because we do have some feedback from some of our other customers, particularly in South Africa and some other areas. So I'd be happy to collaborate with you on that. All right, Jean Gauthier, I'm just going to read it because you said it. Is VOCALC and Focus Vision included in the platform? You know, we had this vision for a mainframe spreadsheet that was going to take over the market, but called FoCalc, but it never quite happens. So no, Gene, we're not providing that. I wouldn't know even where the source code might be. Aha, thank you for bringing that up. Okay, another question from, or just a comment from Eric, and maybe, and Angie, you could take this on. Eric says, I would love to see search expanded to be a little more robust. I think we have some plans there.
Yeah, we definitely do. Right now, our searching is mostly just find your files on the metadata of the files, descriptions, titles, things like that overall. But we did have some definite plans for searching within files, and then maybe also some searching on some data points if which files can use those data points. So give us some more time overall, and yeah, you'll probably see some of those things in the product in the future. I got a yay, so I'm glad you're happy.
Okay. It says, yes, that's specifically finding something within a file is what I was hoping for, Eric
Yep,
says. Okay, cool.
awesome.
All right, so there'll be more time for Q&A later, but I think at this point we'll pivot over to Angie for some of the key product highlights from 2024. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, so overall, in 2024, we had one major feature release, was our 9.3 release. We also did a couple of service packs after that. So 9.3.2 is the latest service pack that is out. So most of all, what I wanted to cover today is sort of what were the I'm going to call them the most popular features that we released this year overall. These are things that after the release or leading up to the release that our customers had the most positive reactions to overall, plus maybe a few bonus items in there. So first off is our modernized Reportcaster. So this was a very big project for us. Reportcaster has for a very, very long time has been a differentiator for WebFOCUS in the BI space overall, all of our scheduling and distribution options. And Reportcaster itself, all the UIs had not been changed, I think, since around 2012, 2013. So a decade at least overall. And the UIs looked about a decade old as well. And so we wanted to really modernize those UIs overall and integrate them into the WebFOCUS hub. What that also got was that the white labeling that we reintroduced for WebFOCUS now applies to all of those Reportcaster UIs as well. So when I talk about Reportcaster UIs, what things do I mean there? That is the schedule tool, so creating schedules, the distribution list and access list, creating or editing those. In the 9.3.1 service pack, we also introduced the new Reportcaster Explorer view. It's in an area in the home area of the hub now, and some extra filtering available on there, and just modernized look and feel there as well. A little bit of performance improvement and some of that as well. Also the libraries, Reportcaster libraries, and then the watch list were kind of a subscribe to the library. So also the viewer options for viewing things in the library, all of that is now updated. There's still a few things that we want to update UI-wise in the future, and we will get to all of them eventually, but we wanted to start with the ones that people are going to use the most. So also in Reportcaster, we didn't do just UI updates, although that was the biggest piece. We also added some extra functionality for testing connections. So if you're using FTP or SMTP email, now when you're creating your schedule, you have a button to just test the connection right there. You don't have to guess if you typed in the host name correctly or the IP address correctly. You can just test it right there. And then also new, and this was a big customer request that we had, was support for OAuth 2.0 for the SMTP configuration as well. So that's now also supported in 9.3. So the second most popular, and this was a very, very close race that we had between these two, with release 9.3.0, we turned on the ability for opening InfoAssist content directly in Designer authoring tool. So in here, it's exactly what I just said. If you have InfoAssist content that you created in 8.2 or 8.1, whatever release it was, now there's an option when you right click on that piece of content, you can say edit with designer, and that will bring all of that content into designer, allow you to use the designer UI moving forward. So Dan was talking about how we've gotten a lot of feedback of we should be spending our time and resources on the latest tools and on designer, but we wanted to make sure that you, all of our customers, had a way of taking your existing content and using that content in the new tools as well. So in order to support that effort overall, we had to add a lot more functionality to Designer this year. I thought I had that on a slide, but I think I skipped it. So we added things like the ability to have different set options, different settings in there, some new filtering options as well. I think my slide on it is a little bit later, so I'll come back to that list as well. Yeah, so no matter what release the InfoAssist content was created in, you have that option now for editing in Designer. Okay, so number 3 is our new Designer Portal editor. So those of you who have used Designer portals in the 9X series of releases, you probably remember that you created them from the hub. It was more like a folder structure. You couldn't quite see what you were creating or editing as you were doing it. And so in release 9.3.0, we introduced this new portal editor. It's a WYSIWYG editor. You're seeing what you're creating as you're creating it overall. And it really improved of some of the workflows that were difficult before. The biggest one is just reordering tabs in the portal. Sounds like it should be a really simple thing, but before I had to go in and change properties and sort orders of all the files that were in my portal structure. That was way too complicated, we all agreed. And so in the new editor, it's just a drag and drop. It's the simplest thing now. So then we also, as part of this, added some integrated workflows. So when I'm adding content to the portal, I have the option to right click on that content and say, hey, I want to edit this. It's going to open a new window where I can edit that content directly as well. So we tried to smooth out some of the workflow aspects on top of it. All right, designer authoring. Here's my list of the other things. So here are some of the things that we added to designer as well. Some to support just what InfoAssist had, but there's a couple of new things in here too. So the set command UI, being able to change a lot of the very common focus language set commands overall. And then also some new output format options. XML was one that was very much requested, and sort of some of those unstructured or unstyled formats. Then the other one on this slide, this was, I'd say reaction-wise this year, maybe not as high as all the others, but overall it was our top request that we had from customers for many, many years, was being able to create compound Excel documents. So what does this mean? It means that being able to create an output in Excel, an Excel worksheet, that has multiple charts or reports on the same tab of that worksheet without using a template. So previously, if I wanted to do something like that, I could only put one report per tab or one chart per tab, or I had to go through and create a whole template and say then, okay, put report in space 1 and the chart in space 2, multiple requests to do it. So we added the new option. You can create those Excel compound reports or outputs now. Charts and reports combined is okay. You see a couple of screenshot examples on there. It can be images, Excel tables, which is just kind of that report tabular format, or charts as well. And we do still support the Excel templates. We didn't get rid of anything, but it's just much easier to get those multiple pieces of content on the same page. All right. Going over to our DSML capabilities. So we had sort of two big areas for DSML this year overall. One of them was some improvements to instant insights. So we've had Instant Insights available for a little while now in the 9X series, but in 9.3, we made some improvements to how they're generated and how they're recalled. So before 9.3, whenever I wanted to generate insights, I had to do it every single time I selected my data source, which is fine. That will definitely give me the most up-to-date insights of whatever that data source is. But if I'm generating insights on a historic data source, maybe something of, I have all my data from the month of November, it's not going to change anymore at all. I just need to generate the insights once. And then those insights are going to stay the same, whether I regenerate them an hour from now or 2 days from now or whatever it is. So the improvement that we did was to remember insights that are generated moving forward. So the default, I believe, is 30 days to remember them overall. And you can always click a button to regenerate them at any time if your data does change. But overall, this is going to help with one, being able to get to your insights faster. If they're already generated, they're already remembered, you can just go view them. You don't have to regenerate and wait for them. But two, it also allowed us to put in kind of deferred processing for the generation as well. So now I can click to generate my insights. I don't have to sit there and wait for it to come back overall. I can go do something else. And then once those insights are ready, I'll get a little notification and I can go view them. And then in terms of viewing those insights, one of the other features that we added this year was being able to filter those insights. So sometimes when insights are generated, we would get back like hundreds of different insights overall across different fields in the data source. But maybe I only care about certain fields. In a sales data set, maybe I only care about the revenue, or maybe I only care about the profit, or the amount of discounts for the year, or something like that. And so when I'm viewing insights now, I have an option to filter based on a particular field to say, show me the insights that relate to this particular field. So then the other area in DSML that we did some improvements this year is the natural language queries. So we have the visualization output for natural language queries now. Selector, after I run my, after I get my result back from my question, I can choose different chart types to see that result as well. So I can switch between just sort of the tabular, I'm seeing the data in text, or I can switch to bar charts, line charts, pie charts. The visualizations make it really easy to, I don't have to spend my brain power trying to understand, like, okay, these numbers are higher, these ones are lower, which one is the highest or the lowest? Like, I could just look at a visualization and see those things automatically just based on the visualization that comes back. Makes it much faster to be able to process and really understand those insights overall. All right, let's see. Then a couple of general enhancements still in the WebFOCUS area. So Dan mentioned earlier that in the new platforms queue, the container edition is now included, and we really want to encourage people to try that out, but sometimes setting up container editions can be a little bit intimidating if you have never done it before. So something that we did this year was offer a pre-built container image as part of the packaging that we distribute overall. So think of this as sort of installing with all the defaults overall. So if you just want to test out a container version of WebFOCUS overall, you can use this pre-built container image, set it up in your environment, and test it out, kind of see the features just as a test before you get into your real world scenario. Once you get into that real world scenario, it may only be a couple of tweaks to this pre-built image that you need to do. But of course, if you have a much more complex scenario, we can work with that as well. You still have the full container package as well to make whatever customizations that you need. And then also in the effort to encourage people on their cloud journey using container images or hosted in the cloud or whatever it is, we started offering a migration utility. So what this utility does is does an analysis of my existing environment for example, an existing on-prem environment, to say, here are all my settings. Here are the ones that maybe reference a path, like a C drive path in that setting overall. When I move to a new environment, that setting is going to have to change and match to the new environment. Maybe here are all my connection strings that are relative connection strings instead of hard-coded ones. And so those things are going to have to get updated as well based on the new environment. So the migration utility overall does the analysis of all of those things, settings across both your client and server on WebFOCUS, and then kind of packages that all up as well. And then you can use that information when you're going to a new environment. So I said new environment, and that could be a container edition environment. It could be something deployed in the cloud, or it could just be another on-prem environment. If you want to copy your configuration from one install to another, and like Dan answered earlier, you have unlimited number of installs now. There's no restriction on that in the platform. And so you can do that very easily with a migration tool. And then a kind of small feature, but had a lot of impact on some of our international non-US customers. The language settings are now unified from the WebFOCUS Hub. So when I change my language on the WebFOCUS Hub, it's actually going to change it everywhere that a language can be changed. So client and server, both those will get updated when I make the choice in one place. Let's see. I do see a couple of comments and questions coming in, but I think I'm going to go one more slide and then come back to address those. So over on the mainframe side, the big new feature for this year overall was Focus Studio. What is Focus Studio? It is a browser-based UI interface for a mainframe focus environment. So you can see and manage your folk execs. You can control, maybe kill your long-running folk execs overall. You can see all your master files and focus files. You can develop from the browser as well. So if you maybe have some new people coming to your team that don't understand the green screen environment and all the navigation in the green screen world, then you can point them to this browser version and they can still do all the same things, but from a web browser instead. And then also in the web browser, for those of you who enjoy that green screen environment, and I know that there are some of you out there, there is a, I want to call it an emulator, but we've been calling it the Terminal Operator Environment, or TOE for short. And so you see the screenshot here kind of in the middle is it's a view of green screen, but I'm accessing it from my browser on another machine overall. I'm not connecting directly to the mainframe. I'm not on the mainframe, but I still have that sort of familiar green screen environment. So I think that was it for the features that I had. But let me go back and read some of these questions that have come in. Let's see, so there's one, it's possible to add some custom JavaScript to pages, but interacting with objects that are in a page is not documented. For example, refreshing drop-down boxes in a page, or based on another drop-down is changed. Like to see some documentation on how to do that. So Fred, great question. So some of those things are actually possible now in the interactions that were added to designer pages. Those were added in release 9.2, I believe. And so in some scenarios, you won't need to use custom JavaScript to do those things anymore. You'll be able to do those with the interactions that are just built into the page and into the UI directly. In terms of other custom JavaScript, I know we have a little bit of documentation on JavaScript, but maybe not covering everything. So that's feedback that we can take and see if that's something that we can improve on there. Okay, let's see. Question, we have a lot of legacy handcrafted code. What are your lineage tools like for this in the latest release? So handcrafted code. That's a it's my favorite subject and least favorite subject at the same time. Favorite because there's so much flexibility that you can get still by going directly into the focus code. And I think some of our customers will never go away from hand coding all of the focus procedures and everything. So the lineage tools overall, the comment that we were talking about before about searching within contents of files, so that will help some when that comes out. It's a future release item, but coming soon. And so part of that is going to be, for example, if I search on a particular master file name, I'll return back all of the procedures that have a reference to that master file name. And then we are looking at other options as well, sort of future roadmap for data lineage, a way of tracking from a single procedure, for example, how many data sources that actually goes back to. And there is some of that as well in, I'm forgetting the name right now. So one of the reporting server tools that we have, there's some options there as well for being able to track which master files are being called against and which data sources are being used overall. Okay, let's see. Alice has given some feedback on the hub as well. I appreciate that, Alex. Copy and pasting many items, properties in the hub, loses where it is, don't see things that are there sometimes. Yeah, and actually the last one that you have is, I'm going to address that one first. So sometimes the session locks up and you have to kill the browser session. So there was a big performance improvement. I believe it was in one of the 9.2 service packs. It's definitely included in 9.3 though, where if you have a lot of files in your WebFOCUS repository, we used to see some slowdown when you were trying to expand all those folders in the hub. That has been improved in the latest release. So that one I would say maybe get to that 9.3 and test it again. And then some of these others, I'll copy this out and Shay and I will work together to get this feedback back to the product managers as well. Let's see, did I miss any others? Q&A?
Think there's any Q&A. Did anybody have any questions they'd like to ask aloud? Just raise your hand.
There's one more just came into the chat. Can portals created in an earlier WebFOCUS version be edited in the new designer portal editor? So Brent, the designer portals created in earlier versions, those will automatically go into the new editor. We are looking into if you had the collaborative portals or what we call the V3 or legacy portals are our name for them at this point. We are looking into some options around that overall, but as of now, they can't be edited directly, just the designer portals.
Yeah, I think that might, can 9.3 be installed before changing to a new platform?
Yeah, so short answer is yes. So whatever contract that you have with IBI right now, you're not restricted on your version number. So whatever WebFOCUS you have currently, if it's basic edition, standard edition, whichever one, you have access to 9.3. It's available on e-delivery for you. And so you can take that and install that. What I would say is that on the earlier like pre-platform offerings overall, you're still going to be restricted by the other things. So users for WebFOCUS or whatever it was overall. So that would be the only kind of catch there. Once you go to the platform SKUs, because it's unlimited users, unlimited installs, like that's a scenario where there are no restrictions. You could just install it once you're on the platform.
questions for Angie? Angie, do you still have some slides to go through, or are we switching back over to
I
Dan?
think that was my last one. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'll stop sharing.
All right. We're going to turn it back over to Dan. If you guys do still have questions, please feel free to submit those, and we'll still make sure those get answered.
We just have one more topic to cover here, and that is our program to help simplify your upgrade to 9.3. And just as a reminder, we've covered this in past sessions, but 9.3, the 9.3 family of versions is what we call our long-term support release. And so what that means is that once you're on a 9.3 version, we will continue to support the 9.3 family of releases for a period of 5 years, meaning that we will provide incremental maintenance, which will include product defect fixes, security fixes, and certain new features that we deem to be, that Angie and her team deem to be non-invasive but high value. Because this is really the idea, is to have a long period of release stability. And when you do have to apply maintenance, it's effectively a upgrade in place, hot fix type of delivery, right? So you're not moving content, you're not, doing a full-on upgrade. And so this is really one of our release strategies based on feedback from our greater customer base that, hey, you don't have a lot of resources to invest in upgrading, and when you do, you want it to be for you want it to hold for a longer period of time. And so what we've done is to define a program that will allow you to, and some tools, right, to assist you in this process. And so the first step is to register for the program. I'll click on that link in a second. We've created a new discovery tool, support working in conjunction with Angie and her PM team, that allows you to do what is effectively a self-assessment. It looks at your whole environment and comes back with, the result is data around how many folk execs you have, tells you all about your metadata. And this would apply to those of you, which will probably be most of you in the audience out there today, who store your WebFOCUS folk exec information, your forms and everything in the repository. But also some of you may have, what I'll call historical configurations where your folk execs and everything is living on the server. And so this tool will assess both scenarios. And then you'll receive some recommendation. We'll provide that tool to you. You send us the results, and then we process those results with one of our strategic partners, and then you can decide if you want the partner to help you with the upgrade or do the upgrade, the entire upgrade, or you can do it yourself. But we really have this assessment tool, and then the ability to flag any areas for modernization, remediation, and then, as I said, we connect you to one of our strategic services partners, and you decide where to go from there. But this is really a program that we're launching this month and into next month, and be available for you going forward throughout the year. And just clicking on that link, you'll see, just kind of some of the reasons to upgrade, how the upgrade program is defined, and then you'll have the opportunity to actually sign up here. Okay, well, this will take you to a Google form where you can actually go right to the upgrade program, put in your contact information, and then we'll reach out to you. Okay, so this is again, a program that we defined with one of our strategic partners, and we look forward to helping you. Hannah Knox, as I said earlier, is the lead on our team for the upgrade program. And, it's interesting when we did a similar program, which we used to call WebFOCUS Technology Refresh Program. Literally hundreds of customers engaged with us at the time, IBI Professional Services, and then with a partner of ours. It's really super helpful. Not everyone has the resources to actually do the upgrades themselves. And so the ability to enlist services to do that, it's a major plus. But also these tools, right, to help you assess the effort, the cost, and then you can decide, do you want to do a lift and shift and just get all your applications working in the new environment, or is it something you want to also look at, or do you also want to look at modernization, right? To really take advantage of the 9.3 features, or do some type of phased approach. We're also sensitive to the fact that an upgrade itself, especially if you're coming from like a 9.0 or a 9.1, it's going to be pretty non-invasive, not a major resource effort. The effort always comes in with the regression testing. And some of you have IT organizations who can do that, but it's often the case where the business has to, absorb that cost and absorb that time. And so part of the service is, with our partners to make sure that that could be one of the services that you could contract for with our strategic partner to actually do the regression testing, not just the moving of the apps and the modernization remediation. So that's something to consider in your planning for next year. Once you get to 9.3, you're good. But I also want to stress, the program doesn't end at 9.3. We're also in parallel working on our WebFOCUS 10 release. These are going to be specific, like major innovations, particularly in DSML and some other kind of leading areas, NLQ, and some other key areas that you may want to try and evaluate prior to pulling the trigger on an upgrade to 10. And so stay tuned. We're going to have a program for release 10 next year to enlist early adopter customers to start to evaluate the release, give us feedback prior to our going full on GA. But we realize in our customer base, we really have a mix. We have customers who rely on these products for scalable production apps, thousands of users, and really need that long period of release stability because investing in upgrades is expensive for those customers. We also have customers, particularly in the cloud, either our cloud or their own cloud, who are really looking to take advantage of ongoing incremental innovations. And so those would be our candidates for release 10. So, we have both ends of the spectrum in the customer base we're looking to service, to provide a release strategy that fits your plan. Angie, I don't know if you want to comment any further.
No, I mean, I think my attention is on the question that came in of when is release 10 overall. My answer would be next year, 2025, and that may be the closest I can answer at this point.
Yeah. So I think that's a good answer. That's probably what I would have said too. But I think again, I think the idea with 10 is we want to get some traction with some early adopter customers, get that feedback on specific use cases, particularly around those areas I mentioned, and then decide on the actual release date based on that. So, but it's not going to be multiple years from now, like Angie said. I think it's part of our 2025 plan.
And a couple of you guys might be asking about the upgrade program link. That is also in the evaluation form. So at the end of the meeting, when the evaluation link pops up, that the upgrade form link is in the evaluation. So if you guys want to go through there, you can access that there as well. And I will also include it in the follow-up email, so you guys can have direct access to the link there.
Anything in the chat that we need to address here? Let's see.
I think I've been chatting back and forth a little bit in the actual chat. I think
Okay.
we're okay there, but if I missed something that one of you all put in the chat, if you could just post it again, that would be helpful. But I think I got all of it.
No more questions on FOCALC, Jean Gauthier. Asked and answered. So Shay, I think at this point we're running like just practically right on time.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's any other comments that you'd like to make, kind of closing for the team here.
Just again, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Angie. Appreciate all the great information that you guys provided today. And I hope that this was a great refresher for everyone on the line. Hope you're getting excited about 2025 and with IBI. Well, I'm hoping I will have an announcement for you guys very, very soon regarding summit plans for 2025. So be on the lookout for that. I know a lot of you guys, a lot of your organizations, y'all like to plan early to make sure that you can accommodate for summit plans for the upcoming year. So I know a few of you guys are waiting on an answer from me. I hopefully will have that to you very, very soon. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning, this was recorded. I will send a follow-up email tomorrow with a link to the recording, as well as a link to the upgrade program. Any other important information that you guys need will all be in that follow-up email. In the meantime, again, we cannot thank you guys enough for continuing on this journey with us. You guys are, we value you as a customer. We look forward to an extending relationship with you guys. And if you need anything from us, you know where to find us. And if we don't talk to you guys before the end of the year, I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. And we will see you back here in 2025.
Yes, thanks everybody. And on the point of 2025, I don't know how many of you realize this, but 2025 is IBI's 50th anniversary. So we look forward to really leaning into that celebration, both in the events that we'll be holding throughout the year, and then also the continuation of our product program. So we look forward to more collaboration throughout the year. So have a great holiday season, whatever you celebrate. Thanks very much.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great day.